All right. So whether you are arguing about who forgot to do the dishes or whose family you're going to spend the holidays with, every relationship experiences conflict. We all do it. Nobody really likes it, but it is necessary for relationships to grow and to solve our problems. So conflicts are not always necessarily negative. According to Bates and Samp in 2011, they also allow time to focus on relationship needs, partner needs, and the benefits of staying together. So even though research is somewhat limited for positive strategies resolving conflict, today I'm going to talk a little bit about that research and give you guys some strategies for preventing conflict from happening, managing conflict, and then resolving and moving on from conflict for situations within a relationship. And basically, since nobody really likes dealing with conflict or even talking about it, I figured I'd start by going into how we can avoid getting into conflict situations in the first place. So we can avoid getting into conflict situations by communicating things with our partners and not bottling things up. Communicating our expectations and needs clearly with our partners are very important because research on marriage satisfaction by Markman et al. In 1993 provided evidence that couples who focused more on the communication aspect more than the problem at hand were actually more successful within their relationship than couples who did not. So communicating openly with your partner as issues arise is very important. Though it is important to, in a relationship, to choose your battles, which basically means to not get in an argument over every little thing, it is very important to convey your feelings to your partner and let them know in real time when things bother or upset you. And one example of this is if your partner upsets you on Monday, don't wait until Friday to tell them that they bothered you on Monday. So communicate needs and expectations to prevent conflict. It's really important to be open, and you really need to be honest. And if you need 15 minutes at the end of your day, your work day, to have one-on-one time with your partner, it's really important to communicate these needs to your partner because ultimately our partners are not mind readers. We do not know what the other partner is thinking, so it's important to convey these feelings. And even if you've done everything you can possibly do to prevent the conflict from happening, they will inevitably happen anyway. So one way to handle conflict is to try to see your partner's perspective. So in 2019, Corton and Gloax focused on this, taking your partner's perspective, and they realized that this went hand in hand with positive conflict resolution strategies. So taking on your partner's perspective and remembering that you are a part of a team and that these goals that you are creating are for the both of you, and finding that looking at the bigger picture are all really good strategies at moving forward. So finding strategies and ways to handle our emotions that work well for you and your partner are very important. So knowing your partner's emotions and how they react is a great preventative for conflict. So I have this infographic here of the do's and don'ts of conflict. So I'm going to start with the do's. Do go into it calm. Do hear the other person out. Do stick to the subject. Do focus on specific concerns or behaviors. And then don't blame or shame or criticize. Don't use abusive language. Don't bring up the past. Don't try to be right or superior. So a 1985 study by Johnson and Greenberg found that I statements were really effective when trying to resolve conflicts. So an I statement is basically a statement that starts with I feel a certain way. So if I say I feel ignored when you leave the room, that's a great example of an I statement. So basically avoid this goes hand in hand with avoiding being compulsive. So impulsive rather. If you're impulsive, you're doing things that may really hurt your partner. Social media is a great example of where people can be impulsive. So just putting everything out there on social media is not always the best way to handle conflicts. So after experiencing conflict, it's important to have a conversation with your partner so that you can both learn from this experience and then move forward together. This basically looks like talking to your partner about how you handled the situation, what worked, what didn't. It's always really important to find some sort of closure after you have had a conflict. So it's crucial that you acknowledge your part in the conflict, apologize for the behavior, address the future behavior that you will work on. These are things that are very difficult to do, but every conflict involves two people, and this is a very necessary step. Another important thing is to find your reset. So it's good to find something that can take you out of the headspace of conflict and back into the comfortable, safe space where you both can move forward. It's especially helpful for people who are emotional and who struggle to take themselves out of a conflict situation. So conflict is really a normal part of relationships, and when handled properly, it actually can benefit the relationship greatly. Ideally, we want to prevent conflict from happening ultimately, but when it occurs, we need to take advantage of the conflict and be kind, respectful, and see each other's perspective, cope with our emotions healthily, and we can come to an understanding and move forward as a couple. So at the end of the day, the most important thing is to remember that you're a team and you both want to move forward and live a happy and healthy life together. And really, it may sound cheesy, but when it comes to conflict in relationships, one famous quote really comes to mind by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you.